how did Sheikh Mohammed manage to build Dubai more than anybody? He believed that he could do it. Every day when I come here, I really appreciate what has happened.
Welcome to Autobiography, the place where we meet individuals who've shaped the UAE. And today's guest is Sultan Bin Sulayem, the chairman of DP World. Chairman, it's an absolute honor and pleasure joining you today at the headquarters of DP World.
Thank you.
I want to talk about some of the instrumental projects that have really shaped Dubai, but first, I want to talk about the vision behind it.
Dubai is very far from Dubai, a big project with tremendous investment in infrastructure, state-of-the-art infrastructure, actually, facilities. It lacked one most important ingredient: no business. Nobody comes, nothing. And today, when I come, every day actually, when I come deliberately, I drive around in the old areas. Yesterday, I spent time going in the beginning where we started, and just to see it and look what we did.
Where the beginning of the port?
Yeah, when we started. I mean, the port was there, but there was nothing, no buildings. It was a desert around it. There were roads, almost 200 kilometers of road were built between 76 till 79. So all the infrastructure for a port to operate was there, but there was no business. And every day when I come here, I really appreciate what has happened. How did Sheikh Mohammed manage to build Dubai to the way it is there today? When he used to speak about his ambition, we want to do in the 80s, we couldn't understand it. But he has some important characteristic. He has belief in Dubai more than anybody. He believed that he could do it. You see, this is very important. If you believe, you can achieve anything. And that is what I gather today on what we did all the years and how we have gone from a small project to a big project. Emirates Airline, when he announced it in the early 80s that they want to put an airline, I was there when he broke the news to traders from Dubai. And I was thinking, what are we getting into? Because we have no experience in aviation. But he believed in it more than anyone. And I think any business in the world today, you can achieve and succeed and make it big. But it starts with you believing it.
You've always mentioned that when everyone stopped in the region due to different events and wars, Dubai never stopped. Dubai never paused. Establishing JAFZA, expanding Jebel Ali, establishing the tourism board.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, in the 80s, it was a very, very critical period in the Gulf countries. How do we make Dubai a better place for trade? One of them is the free zone that started in 85, and the other one is Emirates Airline. So Dubai today is the most connected city in the world, where you can reach anywhere you want in the world, whether to take cargo or whether to bring cargo from or to ship in any mode of transportation. This belief, what built this, that Sheikh Mohammed has, that Sheikh Rashid had, that his father Sheikh Saeed had, and the vision and what is in the mind of Sheikh Hamdan, and Sheikh Maktoum, where they all believe that this is the survival of Dubai. How do we do things better and more efficient than anywhere?
The DNA was always connectivity and trade.
Absolutely.
In the early days, when you're talking about this great ambition and launching these mega projects, that you had said the vision was greater than what many people could see. And even you yourself were surprised at the pace. Things happened much faster than you expected. How do you explain that?
The government support, the government belief. When we started Jabal Ali, and I was young, and I was appointed the chairman, and many people doubted, how can he do it? This. I know we're in the middle of Sheikh Mohammed. He told them, he's not alone, I'm with him. He didn't just say that. He's with me. I remember one of the biggest tailors in Dubai. We were having difficulty to convince him. And I didn't know why. Sheikh Mohammed heard. And suddenly he called me to his office. And that man came. And Sheikh Mohammed had the map of Jabal Ali, trying to convince him into a location in Jabal Ali, which I know it existed, but I didn't have as much detail as he was explaining to the trader. If you are in this area, this is what you can do, this is how to expand. This is today what the salesmen in Jafza are doing. When they meet a customer, they show him a map and they show him land. In the 80s, Sheikh Mohammed was doing this himself. So he takes this seriously. His knowledge about what we're offering is up to date, and he knows what we're doing. When we started the Palm, at that time, the Palm was a project. We were acquiring the P&O and expanding the port, and the same question was raised to him. How can this man do it himself? He said, he's not alone, I'm with him.
You mentioned Palm Jumeirah, which today a tourist visiting can't imagine Dubai without it. It changed the landscape, the skyline, financially contributed in an unbelievable way. But at the time, it was an extremely ambitious project that seemed to some unrealistic. And there are so many stories and legends behind it, how it was drawn, how you were able to find the proper sand. Can you tell us how that happened? How Palm Jumeirah came to be?
In Dubai, survival and Dubai growth, I always say what drives Dubai is necessity. Necessity is the mother of innovation. And the Palm project was born in 1997 when I was having lunch with Sheikh Mohammed at Jumeirah Beach Hotel. And during the lunch, he turned to me. There were other people, so he turned to me and said, we need more beach front areas in Dubai. Dubai has beaches. However, a lot of it is either taken by the power plants, the ports, the harbors. So what's left is not enough for the new ambition of Dubai to provide resort and beach resorts for the tourism requirements in Dubai. And he said, you are in the ports, find a way if we can build an island that can give us beaches. So it was a discussion, a very passive discussion. It wasn't really the main subject. You were talking about something else, but then this became like something he mentioned. But I know him very well, that he's serious, and I know when he's serious. And so after I left him, I said, I must find somebody to design this, because he's going to ask me again about it. And he has an amazing memory. In 97, we went with Sheikh Ahmed on the inaugural flight to Australia. And I was with them. And when we arrived, there was a lot of reception. And in one of the reception at dinner, there was an engineer, architect, concept designer who was talking to me about what he does around the world and how many projects he did and many of and showing me pictures and all that. And talking so much to me that I wanted to just tell him something, and he said, you can keep it quiet. So I told him, we're looking for an island. Can you design an island? And he said, yes. So I spoke to him, and then subject changed. But then a few weeks, he started sending me pictures of island designs, which basically is an island with a breakwater around it to protect the sand. And with that, I told him, okay, that's interesting. I'll come back to you. And I didn't sign an agreement with him or even told him we're going to do something. And I kept it with me. And I remember it almost faded because of the sun. but it was in my car. And as I guessed, I was having lunch with Sheikh Mohammed, and he said, "By the way, have you found somebody to design the island?" I said, "Yes." So I showed him the design. He said, "What is the length of the beach?" I told him 7 kilometers. He said, "Why not 70?" I told him, "You mean 17?" He said, "No, 70. I said, "Well, the beach of Dubai is 60, 65. How do you get 70 out of 65? He said, "Why do you make it round?" What should be round? It should be in a shape that gives us more beaches. So that actually gave me more ideas. I sat with the engineer, I called him, and we started to think of how we make it. And there was a friend of mine also who has a company in Dubai in the energy, 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞. He was with me, and I told him, "You are good at arithmetic. What can we do?" So anyway, we started with the engineer, and the engineer started to draw a shape. The shape was like a sun, if you think visual sun. So it was like, instead of round, you have these areas that going with corners and going with long lagoons. And it looked like a sun almost. So when I reached almost 60 something, 60 kilometers, I showed Sheikh Mohammed. He said, "That's good, but I need a road." I said, "You said an island?" He said, "No, road. Road. How do you go to the island? It has to be a road." So when we put the road, the whole thing changed and evolved to become a palm. So it wasn't designed at the beginning. And we calculated, and my friend was good at calculation, arithmetics of how many cubic meter to do it. So we did the calculation, and I went to the States to find engineers. Now, before that, Sheikh Mohammed was very happy with it. I told him, "Your Highness, one thing I got to warn you is that nobody knows whether the shape of sand will stay. That needs naval architects."
The first time I met you, one of the first stories
Yes.
you shared with me, you together with His Highness Sheikh
Yes.
Mohammed bin Rashid, looking for not concrete, but sand that would not sink.
When we started to build the pond. So the idea, yes, it's going to work. The sand in the desert, we calculated it at a cost of about roughly $200, $220 million. That's what's going to be the cost transporting. The idea is simple. I'm trying to make it cheaper. So basically the idea, wherever they give me the location, I bring these trucks, they'll be filled with sand. They'll come and back up to the beach and just dump the sand and go back. And you have bulldozer putting it in. Of course, we have to protect it with rocks. That was the idea. When people heard we are building something, or we're going to build something, it inspired 𝐟𝐸𝐫𝐾, Sheikh Saud, to also build islands. So he started, because he had all these sand dunes on the road to 𝐟𝐸𝐾, huge sand dunes. So for them, no need transportation, just push them into the water. So I was Sheikh Mohammed, I said, I want to go to a place in 𝐟𝐸𝐾 where they already started to reclaim. And it was at lunchtime. I said, let's go. So I drove my car, and with him was Sheikh Rashid and Sheikh Hamdan, and a driver, and himself. And I followed them. And we went to the place. I was so excited to see what they did. And I parked my car to go to see the beach, and Sheikh Mohammed was like 100 meters from me, his car, and they were looking at the beach. And I was appreciating how the water is there, where it is clear, and the sand, that red desert sand. So I was walking on the beach, but something strange happened. I started to sink. The sand wasn't stable, and I was up down to my knees in the water, in the sand. And there, where I saw it's dangerous, and I started calling Sheikh Rashid, Sheikh Hamdan, that driver. Nobody answered. And then I called Sheikh Mohammed, and I was lucky enough he had his phone with him. And I told Sheikh Mohammed, in front of my car, I am stuck in the sand. I'm up to my knees. When they came, the sand was up to here, actually. I was going down. So Sheikh Rashid helped me. They have to dig me out of the sand. It took 2 hours to come out of the sand. And then I told Sheikh Mohammed, I have to go back to Dubai and sit my engineers, because this sand is not going to work.
And a very first-hand experience of how it won't work.
If he didn't have his phone with him, I wouldn't be here today. And I went to my office and I have a problem because if we cannot use the desert sand, that means we have to bring different sand. And that means the cost I given Sheikh Mohammed is not going to work. It's a different budget. And so I came to my office, I asked my engineers, and they told me, actually, we knew this will happen because the desert sand is dry, porous, fine, and the minute water touch it, become a quicksand. And this is something we knew, and we were going to speak to you about it. I said, so where do we get the sand? They said, the sand is in the sea. The sand is, the best sand in the sea because it is already below 10, 15 meters.
And sturdy enough.
So it is compacted. It already has water and it will work. And so I said, Mohammed, I said, we have a solution. The sand is in the sea. So
from an engineering perspective, how challenging is that?
Very challenging. We didn't know where it is. But Sheikh Mohammed also is very knowledgeable. And he told me, you know, where you'll find the sand. He said, when you go in the creek of Dubai, at the mouth of the creek, at the end. I said, why? He said, many, many millions of years ago, the creek was a river. And so rivers bring a lot of sand. Imagine his knowledge. See, he loves knowledge and he reads and he educates himself. He is a very, very knowledgeable man and he speaks with confidence, with knowledge. He said, you'll find it there. So I told the engineers, they didn't go near the creek. They started to check other areas with the dredgers to look. And we found no sand. It was like stones, or capstone, or sandstone. So I told Sheikh Mohammed, there's no sand. He said, no, there must be sand. There was no way. There is sand there. And when they started to break the capstone, so just a layer of hard surface, below it, a lot of sand. The question is, if we do this, what's going to do to the environment? So that is why when you look at the start of the investigation was in 97, 98. But the actual work started in 2001 because Sheikh Mohammed said, we want to know so much about this project. We want to know what's going to affect the beach,
the marine life,
the coral, and most importantly, just across in the internet city, they were digging and they found ruins of thousands of years. In fact, they didn't touch it, they left it. So Sheikh Mohammed said, we need to know whether part of this is already in the sea, because that will be buried forever. So we got a small rig, like one of these oil rigs, but it is a different rig that investigates the location. The location was decided. It's going to be in front of the palace, basically, where it is today. And a lot of people, when they see the rig, they thought exploring for oil or something. That rig spent 2 years checking to see whether there is anything there. And we didn't find any corals. I started diving to learn how to dive because I want to see. So there's no coral there at all, no vegetation. And so basically, we had all the answers for everything. The end, there was the coast, how we get at that coast, which we managed with the dredger that we brought, where they brought an interesting way of dredging that nobody used before, called the rainbow, where they bring the sand from somewhere and spray. But all the sand we brought from the region, we made sure it doesn't affect the beaches and doesn't erode and allow the current to move. That's very important that we studied. So that's why once we start construction, we didn't have any surprises.
You've always said in the past, when asked about expansion, further acquisitions, that you follow the customer. You don't have ambitions to be the biggest. You go where the customer goes. So what can we expect? Where is DP World headed next?
Well, the world is changing today, and there are many things that are happening in the world. And I think the most interesting that affected the world is when COVID happened. The supply chain changed. We realized how fragile the supply chain. And then we have many instances. I will quote this example when the Ever Given vessel stranded in Suez Canal, 40 hours, resulted in 3 months of delay in cargo. So that changed our concept a lot, that we need to find better ways to transport cargo, to help our customer to reach their destination, and be ready for any of these crises that keep cropping us. People need cargo to arrive on time with efficiency and assurance, and that is what's happening today. Nearshoring, for example, today became more important than ever. For a long time, people were happy manufacturing everything in the Far East. But when the COVID pandemic gave us a lesson, and suddenly supply chain shut down, the idea of nearshoring, which was talked about in the 2012, 13, 14,
became a necessity.
Became a necessity. And today, many companies are manufacturing where the consumer is. And I believe there are two things that are happening. One is that nearshoring is very important to assure the supply chain is not interrupted. But also, the cost of production in the Far East is becoming more than before for many reasons. First of all, the demand for the many of the consumer products are high. China alone has a middle class of over 400 million people. That's bigger than Europe. And these people are a middle class where they can afford to buy. And imagine China, how can China supply that? In fact, a lot of Chinese products today are manufactured in Vietnam because China cannot produce enough for its own market. So what's going to happen? What Japan has been through, China is going to go through the same. Local manufacturing in China will cater to the ever-expanding middle class. The same thing will be in Indonesia and others. But manufacturing for the world will move to consumer markets that will be production and consumption in it.
So final thoughts. Dubai is synonymous with innovation. So where do you see the future, both as far as DP World, and what would be the next big project that you think Dubai should undertake? What is the necessity today?
Connectivity is very important. And today you will see that technology, AI, many of these technologies, we're using them today. And
whatever supports connectivity.
Absolutely. So predictability from AI we will get. When we analyze our needs, we need to make very accurate decisions. We need to make calculated decisions that take a lot of variable in. We can only do that with technology. The future will be quantum computers, which has, for example, a huge power in giving results and numbers that you need today, while the existing computer can't. So we have a lot of information. We're converting information we have into tools for decision. And that's why our decisions, when we make them, it is a decision that we have thought of very well. And that is the tool in front of everybody. I tell you, it's an opportunity and risk. The risk always is what is in the technology that could disrupt our business. This is something that we all are concerned about. Technology will continue to change. It will continue to impact us. The key is how do we become proactive and anticipated? And this is by really analyzing information that we have today. Habits for our customers. Why they are buying more from this part and they are buying less from this part. Sometimes they even don't know themselves. And when we ask them, did you notice that you are increasing your sale here? And you have to go back. What happened? What did happen in that area? These are our concerns. We are no more a company that sits in the port and handling cargo. And that was the beginning. That was the job, where we have to be the best in fast handling cargo. But that is if the cargo is there. But why the cargo is coming to us?
Which comes back to understanding human behavior.
Absolutely.
And comes back to trade.
And these are not something you learn and you take it for granted. You have to update it. You have to keep learning. You have to keep adapting. You have to keep adapting with knowledge that will help you to use the tools. A lot of people today have many things in their up their sleeve, but do they use them all? You know, we need to use, and this is what we do today. We have excellent team, and I tell you, the biggest strength of DP World is the team we have, where they understand all this. They've been with us for 20, 25 years. All of them understand. All of them now today understand the target and understand the tools and the resources, both information as well as resources of knowledge. So any of our team, we are 115,000 people today around the world. We communicate very well. It's very important. We cooperate. And you will see that someone needs something, they will reach immediately to somebody. It could be in Philippines, could be in Australia, and we talk and we find out how we can help them, or how can they help them, or how do they solve a problem there, which we are struggling with here.
Sultan Bin Sulayem, thank you so much for your time today and for helping us understand a little more about Dubai and the vision that made it become how we see it today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.